So when she went down with almost 1 million gallons of oil. After about 3 days of burning, she still had over 500,000 gallons of oil on her. Today she's still leaking 9 quarts of oil every day. Now they call that oil the black chisel of Arizona. She cried for her sailors. Now the story behind that was it was supposed to stop leaking when the last survivor passed it, the last survivor from the Arizona battleship. But the last survivor passed earlier last year and that oil still leaks, so we don't know when that oil is going to stop leaking, probably when it runs out. But there is a website that's called the Black Chisel of Arizona, and visitors, they're taking pictures of that oil slick, and some of them have pointed out pictures of some of the sailors in that oil slick. Yes, and people have, no, really, people have taken pictures and sent it into that website, and some of the pictures are similar. They have images of sailors in that oil slick. Now, if you come up here, these fuel tanks that you see here on our right. Now, the Japanese, they originally had plans of sending off 3 waves of airplanes, but they never were able to send off the 3rd wave because our men were already up in the air. But if they would have sent off that 3rd wave, their plan was to take off these fuel tanks. If that 3rd wave would have succeeded in the plan taking off this fuel tanks, then the ending of the war would have been different. Japan would have won that war because it would have shut us down from flying out there. This was a halfway loading point to get up to Europe and Asia. So they would fly here, fuel up, and then continue on back then. Today, they no longer do that. So Japan was planning on taking this out, and if they did, then yeah, the outcome would have been different. But it was lucky our men were in the air and it stopped them from releasing that 3rd wave. Now remember, guys, I told you there's still 2 vessels in the water here from the attack on Pearl Harbor. One is the USS Arizona that you go through on. The other one is the USS Utah. Now that vessel sits on the west side of Fort Island. It includes upon it 54 sailors and the absence of 1 civilian. Now that civilian is baby Nancy Lynn Wagner. Her father was Chief Albert Yeoman Wagner. He was the chief aboard the USS Utah. Now baby Nancy was born in 1939 in Europe, but she died 24 hours after her birth. She has a twin sister, Mary Lynn Wagner. Now, after Nancy passed away, he cremated her, hoping to spread her ashes out there in Europe. But Chief Wagner was transferred here to Hawaii. So they had made plans to spread her ashes out here in Hawaii. So what he did, he took her urn and he put it aboard the USS Utah in his locker. He had to wait for the new chaplain to come in order to spread her ashes. Well, the chaplain didn't arrive until December 6th, the 1940 attack. So that Saturday they planned on Sunday morning after church and breakfast they would go out to spread her ashes. Well, obviously that never happened. After the attack, everything was said and done. You had to search and recovery team with divers out there on the ship looking for remains. And you only had a handful of these divers that knew about baby Nancy urn being in Chief Wagner's locker, so they were trying to look for his locker. They could never find it. Finally, Chief Wagner stopped at home and they were there, and hence better place for my little go to these other months of the grave and more sailors. Now, her twin sister, Mary Lynn Wagner, as she got older, she started coming here every Thanksgiving. She takes a lay out there to her baby sister. She still does visit her every Thanksgiving. She comes out here. In 1972, Mary Lynn Wagner was able to have a memorial erected with the names of all 54 sailors, and at the very bottom has her baby sister's name on it as well. Now, to visit that ship, you have to be escorted by military personnel only because it is on an active military base and it is in a military neighborhood, so they don't allow tour buses to go back there. actually have 4 international airports here in the state of Hawaii. One on the island of Hawaii, one on the island of Maui, one on Hawaii, and this one here on Oahu. This is the largest out of the 4. Yep, another one. So if you guys look over to your left, that big building that you see there sitting on the side of the mountain, that is the Trooper Army Medical Center, the largest military medical center here in the Pacific. Construction was completed in 1948, and they can bed up to 1,100 patients. Right now it sells for 500. What's unique about that hospital, besides the color, is all the rooms face the ocean. Now the theory behind that, they were hoping that if the room faces the ocean, the patient would mentally heal themselves. Telling themselves they would rather be at the beach than instead of in a hospital bed because it didn't work. But today's patients will sit up in the room and call their friends and family, let them know that they have a hospital with an ocean view. But the mountain that sits behind it, the Polar Mountain, remember I told you it's over 4 million years old and one time it was an active volcano? Well, this mountain, we get over 350 inches of rain every year on this mountain, which averages up to about an inch of rain every day. What we also get from this mountain is about 80% of the island's drinking water. Now, how that is a natural watershed. When it rains on that mountain, a third of the rain will evaporate up to the sky. Another third will go wash out to the ocean. Now, the remaining dirt, what happens to that remaining dirt, it seeps through all the cracks and terraces down into these dikes. These dikes will fill up, overflowing, creating waterfalls. That water will flow down to the bottom of the mountain, seep into the soil over all the rocks, down into the wells that we have below the mountain. These wells are called artesian wells, which are actually still off longitude. And over the thousands and thousands of years, even to this very day, those wells have accumulated an abundance of water. And it's been well over 100 years since we tapped into that well, and that's how we get about 80% of the island's drinking water. The other 20% is pumped into us from out in the deep ocean. It's drilled down to a mini water vein, and that water is pumped into us. Now, out of the 8 Hawaiian islands, only 6 of the islands have natural watersheds. The 2 islands that don't have it is the island of Honolulu and the island of Honolulu. Now, the reason for that is to have a natural watershed, you have to have an elevation above sea level, elevation of 1,800 feet or higher. With that elevation, you're able to catch a rainfall to help create those natural watersheds. Those islands don't have it. So when water is needed, it is sparse into them. Yep.
So much.
Can we quote you by the pound? No, that's wrong. Marinated chunks of tuna. Yeah. So poke, basically what it is, chunks of tuna that's marinated. And they have a thing called poke bowl. What it is a bowl of hot rice and they put the poke on it. It's called poke bowl. Really popular. It became really popular. Now here on our right, this is our port of call. This is where we get all our shipping and receiving. Our main carrier is Maxon and Shaw. They handle all our shipping and receiving from here to the mainland and back. And then in barging is done by Young Brothers, which is right here on our right. All the barging is done by them. Now here on your right, this is Pier 38. The building that you see there with the swordfish on the top. No, that's Nico's Fish Market. In my opinion, one of the best fish markets, fish restaurants here on this side of the island. And the reason why I say that is because this is also where we have our fish auction every morning at 4:30 in the morning. So they get first pick here. You see what we have commercial long-line fishing boats that go out every week. Go out every night, they come back every week, and they sell the fish to this fish market. Then you have all your restaurants, hotels, markets, everybody else that's purchasing fish, come here and purchase fish. So any seafood that you're eating, any fish that you're eating, that fish was either caught that very morning or the night prior. Even with our regular seafood, we do have aquaculture farms here where we farm our own shrimps, tiger prawns, tilapia, scallops, and lobsters. Brackish.
Why? How do you suppose it's staying open?
Oh, really?
I wonder if that means you can still order online. Probably not. Sounds expensive.
So here on your right, this is our long-line commercial fishing boats. This is where they're all docked. Probably getting ready to leave tonight. But as we come over this bridge, looking over to your left, that's known as Chinatown. Chinatown was established in the early 1800s by the Chinese that migrated here to work in our sugar plantations. And the Chinese, being the entrepreneurs that they are, they established Chinatown to help bring over families and other immigrants that wanted to start living here in Hawaii. Today, Chinatown still has its restaurants, herbs and tea shops, and every morning, every day, from 7 in the morning to 12 in the afternoon, they have your local farmers market here in Chinatown. For dinner? Yep. There's some really small, neat restaurants in here. Yeah, there's a lot of different Thai restaurants, Irish pubs here. Yep. So you see that brick building there? All that brick came right here from the harbor, because when the old boats would come in, the ships that would come in, carrying supplies, they used to use those bricks in the bottom of the boat as a balance exactly. Then when they were done unloading, they just throw it overboard into the bay. Well, Chinatown burnt down and they couldn't get any wood, so what they did, they built a lot of buildings out of that red brick. And to make it look more modernized, they just put stucco up against it. Exactly what you want. But looking over to your right, the tower that you see there, you may have seen it on a lot of our postcards or the opening scene for the old Hawaii 5-0. That's the Aloha Tower. It was built in 1926 and stands 12 stories high. At one time, it was considered the tallest structure here in Hawaii. You can actually still walk up to the top There is a set of stairs that takes you up, and also there's an elevator, a two-man elevator that will take you up and down. So here too, you have to go downtown Honolulu. Now this town we're coming to, this is called Kiwalo, Kaka'ako. A lot of the shops, restaurants, businesses here are all locally owned and operated. What you're going to notice as you drive through this town is a lot of graffiti and artwork on the wall. Now that's done on purpose. It all started back in 2010 by a freelance artist by the name of Jasper Wong. He came here with part of his freelance artist friend and went to these businesses asking to put murals on the wall they agreed. And since then it has expanded and it's called Powwow Hawaii. Every year we get about 130 freelance artists that will come in here to the island and they go around the island painting their murals on the wall. They have a week to do it, and at the end of that week they have a huge block party here for all the artists who've done the best art. So if you look over, you'll see a lot of artwork on the wall. If anybody's doing dinner cruises or sunset cruises, parasailing, fishing, snorkeling, and scuba diving, this is where you come in and you get on your boat here. It's called Kiwalo Basin. Yeah. Now this park right here on our right, this is the Ala Moana Regional Park. The largest regional park in the state of Hawaii. This path goes around the park 2.5 miles. Now this park, beautiful park to walk through with all the shaded trees and plants. Wouldn't recommend going through there at night. The lighting is not that great.
And
But
so
the park is
special
for
contact them
the starting
48 hours
of
before.
starting line for some of the main events that happen here, like the Honolulu Marathon that starts here, and other charity runs that all start here at the park. But right in front of the park, you look over, you have Honolulu Beach Park. It is a family-oriented beach, meaning you don't have the big waves breaking on the shoreline. You're breaking outside on the reef. So it's safe for families and kids to play along the water's edge. Weekends is pretty packed. Now a little example of real estate here in Waikiki. These condos here on my left, it's called Park Lane. They start at $3 million. 4 years ago, a penthouse unit, 6,800 square living space, the outside deck 500 square feet, sold for $24 million. Now it sits on the property of the Honolulu Shopping Center. Now the Honolulu Shopping Center is the world's largest outdoor shopping center. Over 350 stores and shops, 2 major food courts with food from all across the country. Now this shopping center is pretty unique if you happen to go in there. You find some interesting stores. You may even find some stores that you guys have at home. The difference between our stores and yours were 25% more expensive. If you haven't noticed that yet.
Is that old?
Thank you, appreciate that. Our economy. Yeah, our tax bill would be 4%, but boy, everything's been 5% more expensive. Yes. Now guys, as we come over this bridge, I want you to look over to your right. Where the canal meets the ocean, look familiar to some of you. You guys recognize that? Exactly. That's all people Gilligan Island. That's where they started their 3-hour tour that lasted for about 50 years. No, it's still televised though. Alright guys, so we're coming up to our first stop. Make sure you have your cell phones, wallets, purse, any shopping bags. We're going to the